In our temperatures. Hi, Elyse.
Hey, Rita, we're actually on the tail end of that winter storm. So that Arctic air that was first in Kansas City, it's here now. Thankfully, no snow, though, for southeast Texas. We have freeze warnings and a cold weather advisory in effect this morning. And we are keeping these chilly temperatures all week long, where we might not warm above 50 until this weekend. And we're pairing that with some precipitation later this week. We're talking about that next big weather system that's going to roll into the state coming up in my forecast.
Smith and Elyse, fortunately, the risk for icy roadways like that are pretty low here, right?
Yeah, I really don't think we have to worry about that in southeast Texas, but we have a big game on Friday. And if you're traveling Thursday to Dallas, we might see some freezing rain and snow farther north in the state. Not here in Houston, but this is going to be a pretty wintry week here in southeast Texas. And for the state as a whole, it's about 40 degrees colder right now than where we were yesterday. So if you were just out and about yesterday afternoon and before the temperature dropped, and then you're going to wake up and walk outside this morning, whoo, it might take your breath away, especially since we have to combine the breeze as well. We are talking about cold temperatures and a chilly wind chill as well. We have a cold weather advisory in effect until 11 a.m. If this sounds new to you, it's because it is. The National Weather Service, they consolidated all their cold weather alerts from their wind chill advisories, wind chill warnings, etc. Now, whenever we're just expecting it to be cold, something we're not accustomed to here in southeast Texas, we'll get one of these. And that's what we had this morning, factoring in that gusty northwesterly breeze. It feels like the teens are low 20s this morning. Thankfully, by the afternoon, when temperatures rise above freezing, we get the sunshine, but it'll still potentially only feel like the mid to upper 30s today. It is one of the coldest days we've seen in a year here in southeast Texas. Then tomorrow morning, we're doing it all again with temperatures in the morning in the low to mid 20s. Now, as for this week, it is going to be a cold week. We might not see temperatures rise above 50 until the weekend. And as we get to the end of the week, we have to start to monitor temperatures very closely with our next weather system rolling in. So this Arctic blast, it's moved through the state, it's moved through the southeast, but at the same time, we are going to see a coastal low develop Wednesday into Thursday. This is likely going to bring widespread precipitation to Houston and much of the state. So you do see that risk for some snow showers and even potentially some frozen precipitation well north of Houston, but near Dallas with snow falling in the panhandle Dallas, north of us in North Texas and in the center of the state. That freezing line is going to get close to us, though, in southeast Texas, where I think some of our northern counties Thursday and Friday, you might see some snow, some freezing rain mixing with rain. Rain is the main precipitation type, but for College Station, Huntsville, maybe even Lake Livingston, I would be on the lookout potentially later this week to be impacted potentially by some frozen precipitation. Meanwhile, here's a live look to Houston. Oh, I just want the sun to rise to warm us up because it is cold outside this morning. Temperatures at or below freezing, and the kicker is we really only do warm into the mid 40s by later today. Thankfully, we have a bright sunny day today and tomorrow, and that will at least maybe make it feel a little warmer outside, even if the temperatures aren't that warm. Even Wednesday morning, near freezing in the morning. Then we get to Thursday and Friday. I'll just be honest, Thursday is going to be a dreary day. It is going to be cold, rainy, my least favorite kind of weather here in southeast Texas, and we keep some of those showers for Friday morning as well. Good news is we should clear out by the weekend. We do start to warm up, even though temperatures all the way into next week will likely stay below normal for this time of year. So thinking ahead to this week, I want to bust out all that cold weather gear to keep you warm, and then layers, I think, really are going to be your best friend battling these chilly temperatures this morning.
Layers, layers, layers. Got it. Plus, Elyse, good morning.
Hey, good morning. First Monday of the year, back to school, back to work. Let me get you through your weather headlines this morning. First things first, we are under freeze warnings and a cold weather advisory this morning. We could see them reissued tomorrow because tomorrow is going to be another chilly day. Temperatures this week might not make it above 50 until the weekend. And we have another weather system rolling in that could potentially bring us some precipitation while we're dealing with these cold conditions. I'll have more on that right after the break.
Well, if you're up and moving around, getting the kids ready for school, because most of them are back today after the holiday break, you know it is cold outside, downright freezing in some spots at least. Now, some folks might not like this. So, like, when are we going to warm things back up? I personally am here for it.
I will say, at least we won't have freezing mornings once we get to later portion of this week. But the long-term temperature trend, now that we've had this big blast of cold air, it's really hard to rebound from it. We are going to see things gradually gradually warm up. But when you've got this big of a change, this strong of a front, it does take some time to get out of this cool weather pattern that, Rita, to your point, it's 40 degrees colder this morning in southeast Texas. It's why we have this cold weather advisory. And I know it's just an advisory, but take these seriously. The National Weather Service, they consolidated their wind chill advisories, wind chill warnings, any of their other cold weather alerts. And now we just have one blanket cold weather advisory that's issued whenever we have things that are not normally cold for this time of year here in southeast Texas, like this morning where we have wind chill values in the teens and low 20s. This could be very dangerous if you're out in these kind of conditions for an extended amount of time and you don't bundle up and prepare for them. Now, even into the afternoon, though, as temperatures warm into the mid-40s, that's about 15 degrees below where we normally are this time of year, it's still going to feel like the 30s because of that wind chill value. And then tomorrow morning, I think we could easily have potentially freeze warnings reissued or even those cold weather alerts because we'll be waking up to a wind chill below zero once again tomorrow. And this is what I was pointing out, Rita. You see temperatures below normal even into next week as well. So we are in a cold weather pattern. It's nothing too drastic. It's nothing unheard of, but January is here and January is here to stay with these wintry conditions here in southeast Texas. And we got to keep an eye on temperatures as our next weather system develops later this week. We get a coastal low coming in from Mexico. As it moves off the coast, it brings with it some precipitation. If you are going to the big game later this week in Dallas and traveling Thursday, this is something you have to be aware of. Snow potentially for Dallas, the Panhandle, and that freezing line is something we'll have to watch here in southeast Texas. While we're forecasting 2 cold, rainy days Thursday and Friday, I do think our northern counties, we got to be on the lookout for y'all, especially College Station, Huntsville into Lake Livingston, as at times, I think Thursday and Friday, we could potentially see freezing rain and snow mix with rain. It's mainly rain in our forecast with temperatures still above freezing. It really is a magic number when we're forecasting winter precipitation, but there is going to be a pretty close cutoff to us here in southeast Texas. Meanwhile, ooh, we finally have first light. Beautiful out there. Oh, it's cold. 32 in Houston, feels like 23. You even see our Lake Conroe tower cam shaking in that northwesterly breeze that's still gusting right now. That breeze and Arctic front dropped temperatures all across the state. 45 right now in Houston for the high temperature on Monday. 39 for a high temperature in Dallas, even in Austin, San Antonio, 40s and 50s. Very cold day all across the state. Part of it, what is going to be a pretty cold week here in southeast Texas. Tomorrow we could have another freezing morning, and even Wednesday morning with temperatures in the lower 30s will be close to freezing then as well. Thankfully, the next 3 days are sunny. 2 days to know, of course, Thursday and Friday with that cold rain moving in. The weekend is going to shape up to be pretty nice, all things considered. Sunshine in the afternoon. Temperatures still below normal, though. And looking ahead to next week, it's just a slow climb out of this chilly pattern that's been brought by that Arctic front that plowed through yesterday.
All right, Elyse.